What's up, everybody? Get this vice out of the way here. There we go. Welcome back, fishing friends, to the worldwide headquarters of the Pinhook Fishing Club. Man, what is up with this? Seems like it's super wide angle now. Look at this bit. The way over here is where the tip of the vise is. The TV's way back there. I've got it like on a little jam, little mix thing. Looks like a little cartoon deal, but oh, let's get things rolling here. Let me check the weather. What's going on with this? Let me see here, guys. Is it gonna rain anymore? I don't think so. All right, so today was quite the adventure. Let me turn this just a little. Quite the adventure. So I went up to Lake Texoma to do some fishing and then down to the river, and it was just odd. As soon as I get out there to go do some fishing, I got fuzz, guys, from this marabou. Gets everywhere. Anyway, so I get out there and I go do some fishing, and things start getting a little interesting right out of the gate. What's up, Gnarly 20? Things get interesting right out of the gate. So I get over there and I'm throwing the MEPS with a little spark shad on the back of it. And where I'm fishing, it drops off way down. And probably about this has been the pattern lately. They've been hitting in close. So about 3 feet out, thunk. And with that single hook, he just didn't get it. And I have to modify that to put that bait on there. And I pulled it up, and sure enough, the spark shad was pulled halfway off the hook there. So I was like, ugh, I didn't even have a chance to turn the camera on. Then things get even kookier as I'm fishing, and I caught a nice bass, and using a bomber, just bouncing it along down there, and I could never get it to hit bottom in some spots. So that place is deep. This thing, the bomber I was using, gets down like maybe 8 feet. Anyway, so I was having fun, and these two dudes come walking from way over at the boat ramp. No fishing rods, nothing. All the way around. They cross the stream, and they're coming towards me, and I'm thinking, now what? So I had already packed up, and I was going to move down to the river. And so I'm looking at, and the wind was just howling, and I was trying to figure out, how this strategy is going to work. Where am I going to go to the Oklahoma side, the Texas side, to get out of the wind? And so I was standing on the point where the wind was just whipping through, and I was looking in the current and see if I could see any telltale signs, and maybe fish were moving on the coming in to where the wind was blowing in behind me on that point, to see if fish were starting to pack up and they're looking for forage. But then the two dudes, so I'm walking one way, and then they veer over to come up to where I'm walking, and they flag me down, and they were both dudes from some other country, and they were asking me if this is a good area to catfish, and I said, anywhere you can catch catfish, but I told them how Lake Lavon was probably the premier catfish lake in North Texas. And anyway, so we talked for a little bit, and then I went to started to head back, and they were asking me all kinds of questions. What do you use for bait for catfish? What's good to use here in Texas? And I don't know, they came in from some other state, I guess. So I was talking to them for a while, and then so I leave, and I go to the Oklahoma side to fish over there, and that's when the fun started with all the different chaos And I think that video is posting any minute now, so you can go check that out this evening. All right, guys, I got to take a look, start sorting out bait. So I've got all my Uncle Joshies in here. These have been marinating in ProCure for a long time. These are the big Joshies that have been marinating in the ProCure for a long time. Everybody freaks out and worries about the tails getting bent on them and stuff. I never had that issue with them. Then I got a bag. This has got Rhythm Waves, Bass Assassin, Kitex, Spark Shads. I'm telling you guys, the Spark Shad, that's pretty much it for me. Then I got a whole bunch of tubes that are marinating. Look at all that salt in there. There's salt all at the bottom of this. I love these tubes. I got to get these ready for Iowa. Then, of course, I've got my Smalley Beavers, Great Lake Finesse Snack Crawl. They just released some new stuff. Oops, I got this faced the wrong way. These are the Snack Craws. A little bit of salt on them. I'm not a big fan of salt because, man, as soon as you get your hook in there, it'll start corroding that. Excuse me. So, anyway, I used to pre-rig everything so it'd be ready to go. Now I realize don't do that with the salt. Hey, one of my little, well, in this month's Monster Bass deal, I got some Brandon's Pollinix little baits here. A lot of people are going to that. It's a little hot shot minnow. These smaller baits that you can use with the sonar, and you can kind of drift it along. One thing I'll tell you this, guys, is 98% of us don't use sonar, forward-facing sonar. And in 5 years, it's going to be 97% of us don't use it. So they need to be careful when they're advertising this stuff, because they're eliminating, whenever they say, oh, this is a forward-facing, no. You're essentially saying, then if you don't have that, you know, why buy it? So they need to be careful how they word those. All right. The Kamikaze Swim On, I use these for trailers, and I've got these marinating. I'm 50-50 on them. Here's some of the smaller ones. I don't know, guys. I've been trying to find good trailers. These will work good for like a beetle spin. And then I got a whole bunch of these bio sticks that I got on eBay for like next to nothing. I use these for trailers also. Good stuff. Anyway, so I've been going through all this stuff because I gotta take inventory and maybe selling some of this stuff or trading it. I'm pretty much dialed in. Then there's Yum's got that FF minnow that is really nice, and then some drop minnows from GLF, Great Lakes Finesse, that are pretty good. But the Kitex, everyone talks about, oh, the Kitex, this, that, and the other. I'm not that impressed with them. I'm more impressed with Spark Shad. Okay, guys. This is my little crappie crankbait kit. And the newest addition is this dinky little 5A. And the reason is because I love that color, that threadfin shad color. Check that out, man. Here's one of these little Rapalas. It was all just wrecked that Blake redid for me. This one right here, this green and chartreuse, just got absolutely destroyed. You can kind of see the effects of it. Destroyed by a bass. That's his teeth, where his teeth got in there and roughed that up. I mean, just absolutely destroyed by a bass. I was throwing this for crappie, and all of a sudden, wham! He just wrecked it. So I've got a whole bunch of them. I prefer the bombers, but the Arkies aren't that bad. So in the bombers, I've been using the 5A size, or like a little square A or a little fat A. Here's a little 5A right here. Small crappie will hammer that. Then I do have one little Cordell Big O, little mini one. And these will work on smallmouth too on the creeks and such. This guy, unknown. Blake Reed did this one for me. DC. But even this one's got scuffed up. Took a shot from something. Anyway, but I got a whole bunch of these Arkie 220s. Go to the website and check them out. Good prices, good products. Anyway, so I figured I'd just chat it up tonight. Look at this color right here. It's like a bluegill color from Bomber. Those hooks, I may need to replace those hooks. Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that doesn't put any hooks on anything until he gets on the water. But he can change hooks pretty much instantly. It takes me forever with a split ring deal. He just slides it in there and twists it and gets it on the split ring. Check out this little dude. This is a nice little crappie catcher right here. So I'm getting tuned up here for when I go to Oklahoma. I've got a spot up there that I really like for crappie. And I already know which colors are dialed in. Greens and fluorescent yellow. Or fluorescent yellow. Hot orange and green. Let's take a look, guys. I finally got this little guy rigged up. This tiny tubby. It's a vintage lure. Look at this little dude. I don't know. This will work for me. I did have the tail the other way, and it just didn't it didn't seem right. So I put the tail this way, which is going to be reverse. It shouldn't be this way, but I'm going to have it this way. It just slides in there, and I can always switch it. This is off of Mr. Twister. When I had it down the other way, I mean, it was like curling way up underneath here. And which I know it won't do that when it's flowing in the water. But, oh, check this out. Somebody's been using this one. See, this came in a box of lures that were gifted to me. I know I talk about that all the time. There we go. Sorta. This little boomerang tool, guys, get one. These things work great. But anyway, so how is there dust up there already? It just dusted this. Jeez. An OG Wigglewort. Check out this OG Wigglewort. You can tell because they'll have it stamped right underneath there. That's how you know. So I've got some of these vintage lures. I got to do something with them. I got way too many. So I'm either going to trade them or sell them. But like this one is an OG vintage Rapala made in Finland. Look at that color. So these are running between 20 and 30 bucks. So I've got some of those, and then I've got some of these Lazy Ike Natural Ikes, and these things are super heavy square bills. I threw this one today. It actually looks good in the water. And then I got a smaller version of it. I never even knew that Lazy Ike made anything like this. Check that out. Check out how that build design is. Crazy. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Here's some more that my buddy Blake did to save some of these lures. I mean, these lures are in bad shape, and he resurrected them. All right, let me get rid of that. Let me move that over. Let's see what else. I've still been tying some jigs, so I've been having a lot of fun doing that still. Just see, with spring break, I hadn't been around for a lot of the days. I've been traveling, going here, going there, so having fun. But getting excited about, I'm trying to get to the classic that weekend. And then I'm also trying to think about getting my brackets ready for the NCAA basketball tournament, because I got to get that rolling. See, this is way off to my left, but it looks like it's right in front of my face. Let's get some light over there. I'm almost out of this green. I won't mind it. I hadn't really been thrilled with this thread. But anyway, so that's kind of what's been going on with the stuff around here. Is spring break, getting some lures made, sorting tackle. I need to get rid of tackle. Some of the vintage stuff, I'm almost dialed in, guys. I'm telling you, Bomber. I know a lot of people like Bandit and these other brands, Normans and Rapalas, Berkeleys. The reason I like the Bombers is because they're not expensive. You can get them for $3.99 a pop. It's a good price, man. You can't beat that. Oh, what are we doing here? I'm going to do a bunch of blues. There's that pink I can't stand. This right here, guys, is just some of my favorite stuff. Just relaxing and tying these hair jigs. Yeah, you don't do this for a couple of days. The rust definitely starts to sink in. But that's okay. What are we doing here? Blue flash. Here we go. Anyway, so that's pretty much the news around here. We had 2 tornadoes drop down not far from here. So that sent everybody into a panic. Tons of chaos. What is this, my handle? Come on. It sent everybody into, as it should, because, you know, it being a tornado. But then there was some spots with like baseball size hail. And I was thinking, dang. Hopefully we're not going to get that here. Then I heard a couple of pink, 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 pink. So coming down with the rain, I don't know if it was just big raindrops or what, but I didn't see any hail damage. I was watching the Bass After Dark stuff when the storm hit, and I was like, you know, I'm kind of happy I'm not out and around the city, because a lot of people were out and around the city when the storms hit. All right, check that out. That's going to be nice and deadly. Let's get this dude tied off. Really, I don't need head cement when I tie these off, but I still put it on there. It doesn't hurt. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, this one looks pretty good. Our blue. Holy cow, I'm not even gonna have to trim it. Remember, these are for crappie, so we don't need a whole bunch of chaos. Although, sometimes having a lot of chaos can really attract them if they're into that color. I noticed that you can try different colors. Crappie won't eat them, like your typical stuff. And then all of a sudden, bam! They'll hit a completely different color, and you're like, what? I know I've got this thing right in front of my face. What is my foot stuck on down there? So I've been watching some of the college basketball conference tournaments. Texas Tech won its first game against BYU. Iowa had to win this past Sunday night. They had to win, and they just can't. They had to beat Illinois, and the former Texas Tech Red Raider, Terrence Shannon, on Illinois was just going wild, and Iowa just didn't get their stuff together. They're a young team, and the whole thing was just a mess. Then they lost right out of the gate in the Big Ten conference tournament. And I was like, man, what's the deal here? They can't be losing games like that. Go back and watch that Bass After Dark part 2 of, they're talking about forward-facing song. Man, everyone's getting sick of that. The only solution I can think of is just have some tournaments on the Pro Tour, you can use it, some you can't. Then the guys who really use skill, notice I snuck that little slide in there. Everybody's using skill, but you know what I mean? The guys, the old school guys that can do it without using any kind of technology can use their skill. And then you have some where the young guys can do it. What's the matter with doing it that way? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And they're talking about all the sponsors, the people who make the book. If that's what you're worried about, then you're obsessed with greed and money. And I know they're supposed to make money, but come on. I was reading how a guy explained this wonderfully, and I'm not for or against it. I would probably like to use it if I had a chance, but being a bank grinder, you know, I'm never going to use it. But this guy said it's kind of like when Major League Baseball said no to aluminum bats because it would go against the traditions of the game, and it would give an unfair advantage because it's like using a trampoline. And if you don't know, a wood bat is a lot different than if you're using an aluminum bat, which is just cling. So that's one way to look at it. Are they going to do something? Probably not, because all the lobbyists from these companies that are making these screens, then somebody was ripping somebody else saying they've got 7 screens, and then some of the young guys were upset because some of the veterans were complaining about the use of the sonar, and I don't know. It just goes on and on. Ooh, I'm gonna have to trim this one up. There we go. To be honest, guys, I could care less. I mean, where I would have concerns is the resources, the fish, and it's not 100% guarantee you're going to catch them using that, but it sure as heck improves your chances. Because you can see what's down there, and you can really understand the pattern of those bass. And for catfish, I was reading where a guy saw this huge blob, this length of a couch. And he wasn't in sturgeon waters. There were no crocodiles where he was. He knew it was a catfish, and he just started bombing what he could, his bass gear, trying to get this catfish. And of course, the catfish didn't want any part of it. If he would have thrown a big chunk of liver down there, or bar-ass hot dogs, those are that's the best bait I've ever come across, besides like a dead fish, like a dead shad or something. But he said it was just a huge blob and it wasn't moving down there. The reason how he knew it was a fish is because it would move from like a few feet over, like he was moving with the current, I guess you could say. Or moving to get into the current. You know, like he's moving left to right to enjoy the flow. Then I thought, well, a carp like to do that too. We're going to go with some gold flash on this one. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, I've been paying attention to the Cardinals somewhat in spring training here. That's, you know how it is. Everyone's trying to get loosened up, getting ready. Young guys are trying to make the roster. This one's going to have a kind of a really long shank on there. I don't like putting any of that chenille. I know some guys dig it, but I'm just like, man. Yeah, I think for the tournament, NCAA tournament, I'm going to go with a team from the Big 12, whether it be Houston, Kansas. Wow. No need to trim this one. That's looking good. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes, you know, with the tourney. I'm hoping Texas Tech shows up, but... And it's going to be defense. Whichever team figures out and understands that's the same thing every year. The teams that have great defense are the teams that do well. The teams that have terrible defense don't even get into the tournament. And if they do, they don't get out of the first round usually. The year Tech played Virginia for the whole ball of wax, they had a great defense. And you know, some of those guys went to the NBA to get drafted, and I figured like Odiasi, he would do something, but they're all like G League guys, and I'm kind of disappointed with that. Yeah, my spring break's almost over. It's always sad when that happens, but it means that summer's right around the corner. There we go. Let's get our flash in there. But yeah, so I'm thinking Houston, Kansas, some team from the Big 12. The Big 10, well, Purdue's pretty good. Illinois is pretty good. Illinois with the, like I was saying, with the former Red Raider, Terrence Shannon. Man. So I already got the little notice from ESPN to get my bracket all set to start thinking about it. But I think, aren't there? Yeah, there's still conference tournaments have got to be decided. We'll see how some of these teams do. And I'm hoping Texas Tech at least gets out of the first round. They should be picked. They've got some quality wins. They play in the toughest conference in all of basketball. The other team I'm kind of keeping an eye on is Creighton. I'm hoping Creighton does pretty good. Like I was saying, I don't know if I was going to get in there. They just laid 2 eggs the last 2 games. Just an absolute embarrassment. I know they got young guys playing, but you've got to play defense. They've got a great offense, but like I was just saying, you got to be able to play defense. Check out this one. This one looks good right here. Got the blue flash. It's a little bluegill, like a little baby bluegill pattern. Trim just a little more off of that. There we go. That looks good right there. Looks good. Oops. Yeah, so the fishing today was quite the adventure. I think the video should be popping up any minute now. Should be any minute now where it comes up, now that I think of it. Tomorrow, what am I doing tomorrow? Am I going back up to the river? Depends on if it's going to be windy, we get rain. The good thing is I got all this stuff done for the yard. That's a great thing about spring break. What is going on here? Actually, I need to trim a couple of hedges yet. I was just thinking about that. It's a stupid holly's getting out of control. So I could get that trimmed and then I'm good to go. I got everything else done. I got everything fertilized. And it was so, my timing was just perfect. I did all the fertilizing yesterday when I got back from fishing. And then I was doing the Lake Fork ring fry review, some of those lures. And I get back to the house and I'm like, I got time to get some of this done. Got the fertilizing done, and then you had those storms last night. A tornado dropped, about 2 miles south of me, and then almost straight west of me, another tornado dropped. But that's the deal, living in Tornado Alley it's just a part of my phone started doing that emergency warning. And you know what? I turned that off. I turned that off like 2 years ago. Well, the thing's back on now. Maybe because I got the new phone. I don't know. But I got the new phone way back in what, August? So that starts going off, and what gets eerie is when you can hear the tornado sirens from both 2 cities. You can hear them from the neighboring city and the city I'm in. And they'll do them sometimes if there's going to be big hail. Like we had baseball size hail yesterday. Uh-oh, am I at the end? I'm at the end of this spool. Oh, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very interesting. So we had the siren's going off, and when you hear that, you know it's either going to be because of big hail or that they're telling you, hey, you need to take cover because there like is a tornado. And of course, there were two of them. Am I going to be able to get this? Holy cow. This came out perfect. The last bit of thread, I don't have to use that crummy green anymore that was frustrating, to say the least. Oh, this fuzz gets all in my cheeks and face. Let's take a look at this one. Trim this guy just a little. There you go, guys. It always looks iffy at first, but once it gets in the water and it breathes like that, all right, looks good. Tomorrow I'll put the eyeballs on there. So anyway, so that's what's been going on around here. Just the crazy weather, and then today in the video you'll see that just an epic battle, multi-species day. To be honest, I don't know how in the heck I caught what I caught. How it's even possible for that thing to be caught the way I caught it. And then the creepy dudes that came all the way over there just to ask me if the fishing was any good, catfishing in that one spot. They said they were camping at this state park nearby. And I was like, man, if you're in the state park, you got all kinds of spots in there to fish for catfish. But you know how it is. Grass is always greener on the other side. So anyway. All right, guys. Hey, let me know if you've been catching anything, what your strategy for the spring is. I'm telling you right now, craw colors. If you're throwing a lipless crankbait, either red craw, brown. If you're doing crankbaits, that color's a good color. If you're around a lot of shad, then do the shad colors. But we're in a good spot right now for crankbaits and jerkbaits too. Jerkbaits can be like shad colors. And of course, live bait. I saw some guys using minnows today. And you know it's rough when they're using minnows and they tell you they hadn't caught a dang thing when you go past them. And they didn't. I saw their stringer. Their stringer wasn't even in the water. They were trying to catch crappie and bass and stripers. Mainly crappie. You can catch them from the bank if you know where the structure is. But yeah, it was that kind of a rough day. Because see, what happened was when the reason we had the storms last night is because that cool front blew through. And that just fires up the atmosphere. And then kablam! We had lightning strikes all over the place. And then the sirens going off. I was trying to watch that Bass After Dark. They had the guys on there talking about their thoughts on all the current technology. But I'm definitely going to get down to the classic. The classic, of course, is Bass's Super Bowl. And they don't do it necessarily at the end of the year. This is going to be right in the kind of in the middle. Well, there's been two events. Now they're doing the classic up in Tulsa. So I'm going to drive up there to go check part of that out. Bring my camera, see if I can get some more interviews. All that good stuff. Man, I hadn't been to Tulsa since high school, maybe. Stayed there because my dad's aunt lived there, my Aunt Mildred. So on the way to Iowa, we'd stop in there and visit her. And the last time I drove through Tulsa was on the way to St. Louis when I saw Mark McGwire tie Babe Ruth's home run record. The next day, he passed it. That was in that great home run chase with Sammy Sosa, which eventually became known as the steroid era, which ticked me off because I had a program from that game and a bunch of memorabilia. It's just crazy. But that was the last time I was in Tulsa. So it'll be kind of cool to get back there. All right, guys, not to bore you anymore, but I'm going to jump off of here. That was pretty much it, just talking about fishing, the storms, and some of the gear that I picked up. So I ordered another tackle tray so I can put those suspending. I don't have them over here. Or I can put the fat-free shad, the big crankbaits, because I'm running out of space for them. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do with a bunch of these old lures that were gifted to me. I keep saying I'm going to fish with them. I try, and I'm just like, I'm just not digging it. The old stuff usually is the best stuff. But I don't know. If somebody who's a diehard collector really wants them, that's where I want them to go, because I don't want to lose them, get a chance to get them snagged if I'm fishing with them. So one of my good friends is like, dude, you need to fish with them. Don't let them sit around. Well, if there's somebody that's a collector that needs them, like that Rapala I showed you, made in Finland, that thing's like a $20 lure. Somebody might need that color for their collection. All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me. Just want to do a quick recap. So I know there's a video coming out tomorrow. That one's going to be the Lake Fork stuff. I think I was just talking about a video just popped a little bit ago. And trying to think anything else coming up. No. All right. But thanks for hanging out with me. Until next time, I will see you then. Enjoy all the sports this weekend. The conference tournaments. If you got a team in there, I hope they do well, because some of these teams like Iowa, they got to win the whole dang thing. And of course, they lost right out of the gate. So there goes that. Man. Anyway. All right. See you guys. Until next time. Bye-bye.